Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Takes the lead on the final lap of the race.
Hello, and welcome back to PSGL. It is season 36. We come to Australia, and as you can see, I am joined alongside by the amazing, the great man, Max Ring. How are you doing, my good friend?
Hello everybody, yeah, I'm very good, Epic, and excited to be back here for F5. Unfortunately, this season not with Vomi, and we've got, what's his name, Quakes or something like that, usually alongside me. But yeah, Epic, you're here for the first 2 rounds of the season. I'm very good. How are you on this Thursday evening?
Well, I'm a little nervous. I think everybody's a little bit nervous. It's first race of season 36, and we're gonna show you a nice track map, something that I haven't seen in a while. It's a 5.278 kilometer or 3.2 mile circuit of Melbourne. It's 14 corners, 3 DRS zones. It's quite a lovely track, I have to say. I do quite enjoy it. We go down under for round 1 of the season. Now, the calendar, as we're looking at it, it's 11 race calendar, of course. So for round 1, it's Australia. Round 2 is actually a driver vote. So something a little bit different this season, as we have 5 races which are driver votes. That's round 2, 4, 6, 7, and 10 of all driver votes. The races that we do know are happening are, of course, today here in Australia. Monaco, which is round 3, round 5 in Canada, round 8 in Azerbaijan, round 9 in the Netherlands, and finally and lastly, round 11, where we go to the lights, the new track of Texas. Oh, that's a long list of tracks and a lot of excitement to come. What do you think we're going to get out of this race?
I mean, Australia is a fantastic circuit. Honestly, the changes that they made did better the circuit in an overtaking standpoint, and overall, it just makes the track flow a lot better. So it's going to be a challenge for these drivers, obviously. It's not the white line that determines track limits around this circuit. It is the yellow line, so they need to look out for that. They can't think about that white line. You have to think about the yellow one. So that could play a factor in qualifying and maybe in the race as well with track limit penalties. But overall, it is a very tough challenge. Many corners where you can drop the rear or just get a little bit too much understeer and put it onto the grass. So the drivers, of course, they're all very experienced with this circuit. It is a circuit where a lot of drivers do their first tastes of this game because it's a very good all-round circuit to try. So overall, we should be in for a very, very exciting race and hopefully start the season off with a bang.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a track I want to say it's a street circuit. But I also don't want to say it's a street circuit because it's kind of both. It's kind of a street circuit and just a track on its own. Of course, it's kind of a semi-permanent track. And so, I mean, that makes it a little bit different. We don't see that a lot. But one thing I do always enjoy about Australia is the fact that you have to be tactical with your moves. Because if you make a mistake into a corner, it costs you a lot. And it's not only that, it's the fact that there aren't a lot of overtaking opportunities, especially into corners. Probably the easiest place to overtake is on the back straight, the curved straight that we all know and I think many of us do love just before those, that fast left and right hander. I think that is definitely something that is going to throw a challenge to the drivers today, and I think one of the biggest challenges that actually comes with this circuit is the grip level. That definitely seems to be something that drivers are struggling with a bit at the moment. They definitely seem to be struggling with grip levels. I've seen it in other races, and so this could be something for the next. Definitely something that will be playing on the drivers' minds.
Yeah, it certainly will. As you said, this circuit is somewhat a mix between a permanent and a street circuit, so that's something to look out for as well, is that some parts of the circuit are wider and a lot more natural for racing on than some of the other parts of the circuit. But overall, this is just a track where you need to be in a rhythm. You need to have that flow state mentality, and you've got to sort of just be so precise, because getting on the grass, especially heading into turn 7, is very crucial, because if you get a bit of grass on the entry, which is so easy to do, you're understeering slightly wide, and that affects your run down that back straight where you said it's so easy to make the moves. And yeah, they are going to have to be tactical with this, of course, because you have that DRS straight heading into the left right, and you get 2 bursts of DRS. So do you get it done on that first straight, or do you wait slightly, get through that chicane, and then get it all the way down into turn 11? It's a massive game of just where you get those moves done with the DRS. I wouldn't really expect too many moves unless it's a big difference in tyre heading down into turn 3, because of course then you only have a few corners until you hit that back straight, and you're probably going to get re-overtaken. So it certainly is a circuit where tactics do play a key part, and also just overall, it's going to be all about how these drivers just attack this one. Of course, being the first race of the season, do they go aggressive, or do they just go a bit more lenient and try get some points on the board to start off their season? So overall, it is going to be a very, very exciting Grand Prix here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And as I can see, we're actually into qualifying now. And here we are. Australia, it is time for round number 1 of the season. Sorry if I can't look at the live chat. Sorry if you're going to be asking questions about things, and I won't be able to respond because I'm sadly I'm not able to see it. But I believe the first car coming out of the pits is a McLaren. That is the McLaren of Jensen Randall. Definitely something here tonight for, you know, qualifying position-wise. You've got to have something. You've got, you know, starting further back hurts your race performance a lot. I know that you might say that that happens at a lot of tracks, but there's also just the side of me that's going, well, does it though? Does it really happen at a lot of circuits? And that is something that I'm just thinking about. Sorry, I've had to pause the game, accidentally misclick that. But you know what I mean? That's gonna be the difficulty.
Yeah, of course. With being so many DRS depending parts to overtake, you are going to get those DRS trains. So if you do have a poor qualifying, that will certainly just overall not give you the best of chances in the Grand Prix. Of course, this circuit can catch a lot of people out, but you have the likes of just overall this circuit being so difficult to overtake once you're in that DRS train that you can get stuck. And also, you get that dirty air as well, so your tyres wear out slightly quicker. You might get slowed down slightly, so it can really affect your chances here at getting a top 10 finish if you start down in 17th. So we can only wait and see. Jensen is about to start. He's first flying lap as he's now heading up into the penultimate corner. Of course, the former PlayStation driver for Shizou as he now heads up through the final corner. DRS will be open, and let's get underway for the first lap of season 36 here in PCF5. It's going to be Jensen Randall to take us on that. Heading down to turn 1, hits that apex quite nicely, runs the car all the way out wide. DRS open as he keeps it tight to that right-hand side. Then you drift out over to the left to then brake at the black box, get it down to 3rd gear for turn number 3. Back on the power as quickly as possible so they get the best run through turn 4 and then up into the fast right-hander of turn 5. Make sure you don't understeer too wide, which he doesn't, as he now heads through turn 6 and now into 7, which then will lead you into turn 8. A bit of a slide there on the exit of 7 there for Jensen. That's going to maybe affect his run slightly heading down this long back straight. And as he's about to hit turns 9 and 10, it's very tricky to pick out your braking point. You pick it out now, try get into that first apex, but carrying a bit too much speed there was Jensen. DRS open, and he's actually invalidated there on the exit of 9 and 10. So it is going to be Menno de Bever. What did just happen to my English? Menno, sorry, to carry on from what Jensen started. He's going to be the first driver to get a proper time lap on the board, you would think, as he now heads through turn 12 and then up into the final braking zone of turn 13. Get a good drive out of here into 14, and then you'll be up to the line. DRS open for Menno. The first lap of the season, 36. The benchmark time, it's a 1 minute 16.622. A very respectable lap time there from the Mercedes.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just watching Riley McKay currently on a lap. Sorry if I've absolutely ruined your name. As he goes 0.3 faster than Menno. That really does show that there is some time in the lap. Definitely the Mercedes driver leaving some time in the lap. I believe there's an AlphaTauri coming across the line. No, he's just starting a lap. I believe Matteo Piccolo. I'm having a little bit of a guess there. He goes third and sadly slowest so far in this session. So not a good start for the Red Bull drivers. We see Kuba Wozniak. I've had the privilege of being able to commentate over this man a couple of times, but he only goes second slowest, now third slowest, as we saw Ben Marples go second and Fabio go into third. I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name because I'm going to mess it up. We see Marcel Biega go into fourth. I believe that was another Mercedes driver. No, only just starting a lap. I believe we have the McLaren of Jensen Randall. I think he's on another lap. No, he isn't. He's saving his EOS. But his teammate also coming into the pits. Not very happy with his run either. So it looks like the first ones might be done. I am picking up, though, a little Haas. Last place, Patrick Detmeyer at the moment in P17. He hasn't set a lap time yet, but give him time. Looks like he's doing all right. Let's see what he can do into the final sector here at Australia. We all know the final sector is a bit of a difficult one, to be honest, especially for traction, especially into those last two corners. So far, the Haas looking very stable, very, very nice. Saving his EOS, and it looks like he has backed off. Has he backed off? Yes, he has. He doesn't think he's got enough in the lap. So obviously something did go wrong there for the Haas driver. I believe the next driver we actually have is the Mercedes I was talking about, Nicola Soro. It looks like he might have gone over track limits there for a second. Coming round into the last corner, he's going to actually be facing a lot of traffic. I thought it was going to just be there, but luckily they went into the pits. But now coming round up to the line, what can Nicola Soro do up to the line? Only P7 in that Mercedes, behind his teammate Menno by just 0.09 of a second. Definitely something there that needs to be found for Nicola Soro. Of course, he's also one of the last drivers to cross the line, which of course is going to lose him time at the end of the session.
Yeah, it certainly will, and overall now, these first runs, they're mainly just benchmarks. They're just what you just want to build off. If you get a good first lap, that's perfect for your momentum in this session. So for the likes of Riley, Ben, Fabio, you can that momentum you found, but it also can be very difficult to find that time, more time on that opening lap, where you've got the likes of Kuba Wozniak, Nicolo Soro, you've got Piccolo down in 9th place as well, you've got Lucas in between those drivers too, who can now just use that somewhat time to not be as much of a stab in the dark when it comes to overall lap time they can get, so they can just somewhat build off that, get that opening lap in. As Clean has retired in the pit lane, I think Rene Clean has there. But for the drivers that have set lap times, especially the likes of Paulo and Piccolo, you really just build off that opening lap. You just get a feel for the track, get a feel for the car, and then you just attack these next two runs. And overall, it is really handy for you if you can get a maximum of 3 runs in this one. Wilson Hall is on his first lap of the session. Of course, another console driver, ex-console driver, should I say, was on Xbox, I think, at some stage, as he's now heading through turn 8. DRS will be open for the Alpine as he now heads up into the 9 and 10 chicane. So late on the brakes, 53.854 in that middle sector. I think that is quite decent from Wilson Hall as he now opens the DRS and heads down into turn 11. Late on the brakes once more. Make sure you don't lock the rears there. Clips a lovely amount of that inside curb. Uses all the circuit he can possibly use. Through turn 12 now as he heads up into 13. Late on the brakes, make sure you don't lock the rear or drop the rear on the traction. He's not happy with that one though, is Wilson. He decides to pull into the pit lane. Mattia Ria has joined the lobby, of course was participating last season, and for Wilson Hall, not happy with that one, and elects to come into the pit lane. And I think that maybe could have actually put him in a decent position, but
Yeah.
he thinks otherwise.
He did have the fastest first sector, and I promise you, it wasn't just the game. I have checked this. He did have the fastest middle sector. We're currently watching Victor Vidler on his lap. He had a bit of a slidey rear through the fast left and right of, I believe that's turn 9 and 10, if I stand correct. Coming through into the last sector, that car, that Ferrari, not looking very happy under him. Of course, I've had the privilege of being able to commentate. Over Victor Vidler before, as I've done F5 for quite a while, I think a season and a half. As Victor Vidler does go P3, and very nice, good position for the Ferrari man. He's definitely looking for something this season. I know he's been in this tier for now, I think this is his 4th season, so it's been a while for Victor Vidler, but let's see what else he can do. I think the next driver up to the line... Ooh. I've just seen a McLaren with its wing off. And that was Jensen Randall. But his teammate, Jelter, goes P1 and fastest out of everybody. Provisional pole position, but not by much. Only by about 6 hundredths of a second, sorry. So, not a lot there. But this definitely shows that there's still some time to find. And I'm trying to find the next driver who's on a lap, because there's not many on a lap. I know Jensen Randall isn't. I believe the next one is... It is actually Kaizen. As you can see, Ben Marple is going to 5-place grid penalty. I believe that will result in us having a lobby restart. But as we saw then, Kaizen, sadly, invalidating his run. So a couple of drivers actually struggling to get around this track at the moment.
Yeah, it's a circuit where in qualifying it's very easy to pick up the invalidations because it's so narrow and it's so technical that just running that little bit wide does affect you in that long term, and overall very easy to pick up the invalidation, especially through that 9 and 10 chicane, either taking too much of the chicane itself or just running that little bit too wide, and it really does affect you. Yelty Korsman, of course, his brother last season won the championship, Tiers Korsman, so Yelty keeping that Korsman domination at the top at the moment. But I'm on board with Kuba Wozniak, who's apparently set the purple middle sector, and he's now heading through turn 12 in his Aston Martin, down in 8th place at the moment, but it's certainly looking to improve. Used a bit of grass on the outside there. That's going to affect his run slightly through turns 13 and 14. But DRS open now for Kuba Wozniak. What's it going to be as he heads to the line? It's good enough for 2nd place and only just in front of Riley McKay, and behind Yelty Korsman by now 5 hundredths of a second, but it's getting very close at the top as Nicolo Soro shoots up to 4th place. Ben Marples is on his lap. Fabio is in 7th. We had Patrick shoot up to 8th place. Menno in 9th now, and Ben Marples on his lap heading into the final sector. He's up by just over a 10th of a second, so this will place him into provisional pole if he's able to hang on with the amount of time that he's gained. So as he heads now through the final sector for Ben Marples, this could be provisional pole before we head on to the final runs of qualifying. DRS open for the Aston Martin. Is it good enough? No, it is not. He lost a bit of time in that final sector there, but 2nd place at the moment. It's a really strong start to qualifying for Ben Marples and Kuba Wozniak. The Aston Martin pair working quite well at the moment in this qualifying session, but still many a driver looking to put times on the board, especially Wilson Hall and that Alpine heading through the middle sector.
Yeah, I fully agree with you there. That is something that I didn't expect to see straight away. One driver that I have to say is struggling more than I expected them to is actually Jensen Randall. So far this, I believe, will be his last run, as I can't see the timer. Can now. I believe this will be his last run he'll be able to do in this session. This is going to be an important run for him, because if he doesn't get it done, that's him done for the whole of the session. And at the moment, sitting 15th without a lap time is definitely not somewhere you want to be.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. So for Jensen Randall, it's been a real tricky session for him. Wilson Hall up into 8th for decent lap time. They're very close, actually, between this field. Only 3 tenths separating the top 14 drivers, sorry, just over 3 tenths separating the top 14 there. Jensen Randall on his out lap, Matteo Ria down at the back with a 17.1. He can certainly build off that later on in the session. But it is, I think, going to be Jensen to be starting off these final runs of qualifying here. So he started off the session. Can he get a time on the board now? That is going to be the question. So DRS Open as he now heads down this main straight. He has 5.278 kilometers facing him in this final run of qualifying. And can he get the job done? Through turns 1 and 2, and he's invalidated straight off the bat. And for Jensen Randall, this session keeps getting worse and worse. He could be starting down in P18 here because he is not having the best run of things. He will be able to go into the pit lane and get on another set of tyres. But to be honest, I think at the moment in time, he's not got a good enough rhythm to even be setting a lap at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a tough one. I'm currently watching another driver who, as you said, isn't good enough to set a rhythm or even a lap time. And that's Kaizen. So far, he's done 2 laps. Still nothing from him. 2 invalidations, so 2 out of 2. I don't think that's the start he would have wanted to his campaign this season. You know what? As he's the only man on a lap at the moment, let's go on board with Kaizen and let's watch him as he goes through his lap. If he doesn't invalidate in the first 2 corners, hopefully not. So coming down into turn 1, very nice. He's going deep, going for a tighter line. Compared to Jensen Randall and quite a few other drivers with the DRS on the second straight now. This coming into this corner of turn 3 at over 300 kilometers an hour through turn 4 now. Very nicely done into one of the fastest corners, turn 5, flat out. Very nicely done by the Alfa Romeo man. Coming into one of the faster and more rounded corners so far. Kaizen's actually had a really good flow through this lap, and he's putting together a very good run. I'm not sure about his lap time just yet, whether it's very good or not. We're going to see him as he comes around the long left-hander into the fast left and right. It's purple middle sector. I know that isn't the quickest because I've seen drivers set faster. Oh! He almost loses it there into the wall, but he does invalidate while doing that. But that was a very close call. At least Kaizen could still have another run.
Yeah, he certainly could. Jensen Randall is actually on another lap. He started he's one now. He's luckily managed to avoid most of the traffic on his lap. Just it's the other Alfa Romeo of, if I can find it, Marcel to get out the way, which he does quite nicely. So Jensen Randall on his final part of qualifying. Does he even have the fuel to finish off this lap? That's going to be very close to seeing actually. Can he get to the line with enough fuel? I don't think he will. Yeah, I don't think he will have enough. As he now heads into turn 11.
He's already slowing down a bit.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough fuel at all.
Yeah, and
he's on 0.1. Oh, he's invalidated. So for Jensen Randall, it has been a horrid session for Jensen Randall, and he slides into the pit lane as well. But
if we had a different camera angle, that would have been a nice drift.
Yeah.
To be fair, that would have been a nice camera shot, but we don't get that.
But for Jensen and Kaizen, it has been a qualifying session to forget. And at the moment, not the way they would have really wanted to start off their season. But it will be Menno to start the final runs of qualifying. And hopefully this time, Epic, if you can take us on board here, you can get a complete lap of qualifying.
Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Going into turn 1, Menno taking a bit safer, taking a bit slower. Just trying to make his way through to turn 1 and turn 2 for the track limits. Going down into turn 3 now, very nicely on the brakes. It just seems like Menno's going a little bit safe with the car, not wanting to push it too much. Victor Fiddler getting multiple illegal blocking penalties there. So I do think we'll be having a lobby restart. But now going into the right-hander, tighter line, definitely something that we've seen quite a few drivers going for. But drivers seem to be a bit, it seems to be 50-50 on the way that they want to take the racing line into the corners. Now, the second to last time he'll be having DRS, and one of the times it will matter. And into the left and right-hander, very nice line, going again, tighter into the corner. Very safe. Quite safe for Menno, I have to say. Now on to the final time he'll be having DRS in this lap, as qualifying is now officially over. These are the last laps they can complete. Lucas Beisner didn't make the flag and is the first to finish qualifying, plus with the 3 retirees in this session. through into the second to last corner, and now into the last corner. Flat out for this last bit. Take a little bit of curve now, coming up to the line. Can Menno improve, or will he not? He does improve by just over a tenth. I believe the next driver is Biega. Up to the line. He goes 6th. Very good lap time from him. We're looking to a Haas, I think we were. That was Patrick Deckmeyer, who tried to improve. As we see Matthew Rea go up to 14th. We see then Piccolo go up into 12th. We see Wilson Hall. For a minute, I didn't believe it. Wilson Hall, fastest of all. Has he gotten it last minute or not? We can see Cooper Wozniak can't improve. Ben Marples can't improve. Who else is to cross the line? Joe Korsman can't improve. Neither can Victor Vidler. I think the next driver to come up to the line is Nicolo Soro. He's invalidated. Our pole position taker for round 1 here in PSGL season 36 is Wilson Hall, just stopping the McLaren of Jout Korsman, trying to follow in his brother's way to possibly take a few pole positions and victories this season and take the championship a bit more easily. But Wilson Hall in that Alpine, in that pink and blue livery, the very vibrant livery, stopping the McLaren. What? I can't even believe what Wilson Hall just did. He came out of nowhere. I didn't even believe it when I saw fastest time in the session. That caught me by surprise a little bit.
Yeah, it was a brilliant lap time there from Wilson Hall to stick that one on to pole position. A very quick driver when he was over on Xbox, and he's just not really smashed the competition, I would say, but he's done a very good lap time. It's very close between the field. Look at that. Top 14 separated by just under 4 tenths. Top 15, actually, sorry, separated by just under 4 tenths. And then the only one real outlier in all of that is Paulo Alfonso, who was 16th in the last of the time runners, 4.5 tenths back. So even with Paulo being the slowest, it's only 4.5 tenths separating that top 16 drivers, and that should surely give us an amazing race. Everyone's so closely matched, and should be some fantastic moves being made. But we are going to have a lobby restart, I think. I'll quickly just double check in the Discord for you. But Wilson Hall, a brilliant start to life here in PCF 5, and we do have a lobby restart coming up for you, ladies and gentlemen. So we won't be into the race just yet, but for Wilson Hall, just the way he wanted to start his campaign here in season 36.
Yeah, definitely. But sadly for you guys, we've also got to hop to a little ad. I know nobody wants to see ads, but sadly you're going to have to, just for a few seconds. And it's one of our proud sponsors that we love to have, GT Omega. We'll see you in about a minute. And we are back. I know it was only just 30 seconds we were gone for, but we do return now. Like we said just before the break, we are having a lobby restart, so that will take a couple of minutes, but we could talk a bit about qualifying, can't we, Max? Because there's a lot to talk about. Where the hell did Wilson Hall come from? He just... I mean... Last minute, he just appeared.
Yeah, I mean, overall, he just really had a good lap in that final part of qualifying. That's all you need, really, is you need to, as I say, build off the momentum you can bring from just getting one lap on the board. So I think he just did that first one to get one on there. So if he did invalidate the final run, he had that safety net of at least having a lap on the board and not starting at the back of the field. But overall, it was just a really strong lap from him. He was overall a very quick driver. So I was somewhat expecting him to be up at the front quite early on, but to do it that that good and that quickly. It's just absolutely amazing for him, and I can't wait to see how this race plays out, because of course you've got the likes of Yelty Korsman, who is bouncing off a pretty poor season last in season 35. So here in season 36, being on that front row is going to be so important for him. Of course, doesn't have his his brother here either in the same tier, so he can sort of just focus on himself now and just think about the bigger picture for him. But we have a bunch of star drivers in this field, and of course drivers that are still either just coming over to PC or just climbing their way up slowly. So we've got an exciting season ahead, but this first race is going to be so good around Australia. So many DRS moves will be made, and it should go all the way down to the final lap in this one, because at a circuit like this, pulling away is pretty much impossible.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And just before we get into this race, let's have a little look at the track map once again. 5.2 kilometers, 3.2 miles, 14 turns, 3 DRS zones. Just to remind everybody which track we are actually at today. Interesting circuit, of course. It's sort of 50-50. It's partly permanent track and other parts of actual roads. So interesting track. Like you said, that's going to be a difficulty. Everybody's going to be very close together. But you know what the other difficulty is going to be? It's the traction.
Yeah, it certainly is. A lot of these corners are very low speed, so a lot of torque goes into that those rear tyres, so it's very easy to light them up and spin round. But you do have the corners like turn 7 or even that final corner. Yes, on exit it's difficult, but on entry they're just as difficult, because all it takes is one little slip in concentration, going over a little bit too wide on entry, and then overall your race can be thrown away because you've spun on the grass. So they've just got to be so precise around here. This circuit is all about precision. It really does reward it, and overall, if you are able to just hit all your apexes as good as possible and lap in, lap out, then you certainly do have a good chance of making some moves in this Grand Prix.
Yeah,
and,
I agree all the way. Like, I've seen this circuit a few times. I've been lucky enough to commentate on this circuit a few times. Genuinely, it's gonna be a difficult one. So yeah, I'm trying to think of the words to say about this track, because it's hell. For the drivers, it's difficult. For us, it's crazy because of the accidents and things that do happen around this track. Now, one thing I do want to discuss is how important is it to have DRS compared to not having DRS, because it seems to differ from, of course we know from track to track, but from race to race, I've seen it differ that sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't.
Around this circuit, usually, it is so important to have that DRS, because you are just a sitting duck pretty much around the whole circuit, because there's so many DRS zones. And overall, you just need to be so precise and everything. And if you fall out of that DRS range, then you're just going to get swamped by a load of cars behind you, especially going down into 9, 10, and then finally into 11 after that next DRS straight. So you need to be within that DRS. You need to try to stop that train in front breaking away. So overall, it is just all about sticking within that DRS, managing your battery as well. That is going to be crucial, because if you start derating quite early on, it's very difficult to gain it back around a circuit like this. And it's just a circuit where, if you have between a bunch of drivers, it's absolutely horrid to be in that middle part of the pack, because you're just following everyone in the train. But one slight wrong movement, say if you get too close to the car in front, you can't see your apex, it could either be race over or you drop down a place. So all it really is just a matter of surviving till that final lap or final few laps, and then you push for it and overall try and make up as many positions as possible. But this circuit, it's such a challenge that these drivers should put on such an amazing Grand Prix, and also expect a safety car on this one, because this circuit being tricky on the traction, does usually provide one.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much I could say about this track. I've driven it quite a lot for my sins, but I think it's something that's challenging to drivers, which is, of course, we all want to see something that challenges the drivers. I mean, the other side to it is that also, it's not only just challenging the drivers for driving, because that's how, I mean, that's how, like, a lot of people see it, that, like, it's the driving difficulty. But the main problem, like you said, is overtaking. And that's where we're going to really find the problems for a lot of drivers, that they're going to be struggling in places that are going to be wishing that they weren't in those places to begin with, if they get stuck at some point in the grid. Now, we're going to be getting into the race in a few moments. Just before we do, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, GT Omega and Sim Racing Centre. I believe you can find their links in the description down below. Also, come follow PSGL on YouTube here, of course. Leave a like and subscribe. Also on Instagram, Discord. Come and join our Discord server if you want. Also Twitter and TikTok. Yes, we're on all of them. We're on 5. So you can't miss us at all. So yeah. So back to the conversation now. And the conversation that the race is starting very shortly. Strategies. Now this is something I always love to talk about with my co-coms. I always love to talk about strategies anyway with people on anything. Now, what are you feeling for the strategy? Because I'm feeling like a sort of maybe a medium hard to get that pace at the start to maybe make moves, but it's up for grabs really.
Yeah, you're going to see drivers either really do a medium hard or a hard medium around here. It's because it's very, very aggressive on the tyres. So hard medium is probably going to be the optimal choice, but most of these drivers get that hard tyre out the way and then be on the mediums when you're on the lower fuel, and obviously going to be quicker coming to the end of the Grand Prix. So, I mean, you probably want to box around about lap 15, 16 if you're on the hards, 13, 14 if you're on the mediums. So it's just going to be all down to tyre management, battery management. But maybe expect 1 or 2 drivers to go onto the softs at the end.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but here we go. Yeah. 3, 4, 5, red lights. And away we go for season 36 PSGL F5 PC. Here we go. Wilson Hall hasn't had a good start because Joe Korsman's been able to get close to him, but he leads through turn 1. Now, I've just seen that Wilson Hall is on the hard tyres compared to Joe Korsman on the softs. Is Joe Korsman going to make a move? He's going for it into turn 3. He breaks lane. Oh, he spun! Oh. He spun round in turn 3. I don't know what that screen was for me. But now, throughout the last couple of corners, and it's a safety car already. Jensen Randall getting a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Mathieu Rea. What a start that was, because actually, we've also had a retirement. Kaizen also out in turn 3. What a start. What happened there? And especially, what happened to, trying to find him now. What happened to a good old man, Joe Korsman?
For Yelty, just broke too late there, but I think everyone's been caught off guard because someone's readied up early in this session. Of course, the safety car's now deployed, so it slows everything down. But this might have messed up some guys' strategies, setups as well, because some drivers might not have been able to put on their setup. Hopefully they all did, because I feel like they just had enough time to do that. But I know a lot of these drivers wouldn't want to be on the soft compounder tyres. They just were in the middle of just sorting out their setups and then about to switch their strategies. So overall, some of these drivers could be in a real spot of bother, especially the ones on the softs. But for Yelty Korsman there, he just locked up. He just completely went too late on the brakes and ended up locking the rears and spinning round. So for Yelty Korsman, it's very unfortunate. He's still in this race though. He's got no damage. Probably the only damage he has is going to be his ego, but overall, he's still got a long race ahead of him. It's got 29 laps and we're under a safety car right now, so no one can pull away from one another. But a lot of these soft runners would rather be on the hard compounder tyres, and I feel like it's very unfortunate that someone readied up early.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there, but I don't want to say it exactly, but does it feel like Joe Korsman had a little bit of a rookie mistake there, just going too deep on the brakes just looking for position and not looking at the corner or the braking zone at all. That's kind of how it felt a bit like a rookie mistake there. But things happened. But so far, the order hasn't really changed. So let me give a quick rundown. We still got Wilson Hall, Ben Marples and Kuba Wozniak at one place. I'm going to bring up the position change, because the Aston Martins have gone up 2 places each. Of course, Joe Korsman being the biggest driver to lose out. One of them who's actually gained quite a bit is actually Rennie Klein. Up 4 places from last, up to 15th now. Did somebody ready up too early? Because
Yes.
that's what I'm thinking. Because I'm just seeing a lot of soft and hard tyres. And only one driver, and that's Jensen Randall, who has pitted already on the mediums. I was feeling mediums and hards at the start, not softs. I was thinking that would have been a bit of an odd one. So I'll just have a quick look now to see if anybody who has potentially readied up.
I don't think we have a culprit, but Jensen has put into the chat. Actually, I think we do have a culprit. I won't name and shame on here, but
we will.
yeah, Jensen did say it was an early ready up, so unfortunate there for some of these drivers. But yeah, the ones on the softs, they were probably mainly focusing on overall their setups in general.
Yeah.
So they would be on the soft compound tyres now. They would have rather be, as I say, on the medium or the hard at least. But this safety car does somewhat help them slightly, just manage that tyre a little bit more into this Grand Prix. They could maybe try a soft medium in the end, depending on how well these soft tyres do manage. But for Wilson Hall, I think he's in one of the best positions possible on that hard compounded tyre. And once he comes in around about lap 15, 16, he'll then be on the mediums where the guys around him, like Kuba Wozniak, Ben Marples, Biega, Victor Riddler, will all be on older medium compounded tyres. And for Wilson Halls, he should really just be able to slice through the field when that comes. But it's still a long, long way to go. We don't know what's going to happen in this Grand Prix, but I feel like the drivers on the hards are in a lot better position than the drivers on the softs.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I was reading the rules, right? Safety car is in this lap, but I was reading the rules, and if I've read them correctly, I'm not 100% sure whether we would be having a restart to the race or not.
I don't think we are.
I'm not 100% sure. So a couple of more drivers have gone to the mediums. 4 drivers now in the mediums. No penalties, which is good to see at the start. 1 retirement, Stalin. That was Kaizen. Fastest retirement I think we've had this season. Well, not this season, but I think in all the time of commentators, one of the fastest retirements. Which I'm not laughing at. It's just something we don't see. But now it's all up to Wilson Hall. He can control the pace as he comes round the second to last corner. He is going now, but Ben Marples has kept up with him because remember the tyre difference. 2 tyre compounds softer has Ben Marples got. He's got the soft, Wilson Hall on the hards. But Wilson Hall, most importantly, stays out in front. Maybe using some EOS here. And coming down in the second straight, we saw this between Joe Korsman and Wilson Hall. This time, Ben Marples is going to switch to the inside. He's going to try and make a move. But Wilson Hall, staying incredibly confident and incredibly cool in the very fiery and intense situation as he holds on for the lead. Are we going to see Ben Marples try and make the move into the right-hander? No, we're not. Not just yet, but maybe Wilson Hall might have a lot of pace here. And there goes Ben Marples. He's going on the inside. As also, Ben Marples' teammate Kuba Wozniak also makes the move. And Sally, within a couple of 100 meters, Wilson Hall's just lost 2 places. But those 2 are on the soft tyres and will have to pit earlier. And looks like they will have a compromised pit strategy for this race.
Yeah, they certainly will. And overall, I mean, it was just Wilson Hall just showing that little bit of a gap. And Ben Marples was like, thank you very much. I'm going to go straight into that gap that you've just given me. And Kuba Wozniak was like, thank you, teammate. I'm just going to follow you through. But Wilson Hall, of course, he don't really need to be fighting these guys on the soft, so he can just let them through and run his own race at this point. Because, of course, he's on the hards. He's on such... he's got such less grip than them. He won't be as quick of as at this stage. But give it a few 3 or 4 laps. then he'll certainly be back onto the pace of those soft compound tyre runners. So if he's able to stick with them until the DRS comes, he will be in a very good position in this Grand Prix. But that's going to be a challenge for him. But he doesn't really have to worry too much just yet. We've got Biega behind him, same with Victor Riddler as well. They're also trying to hunt down that Alpine. But if I was Wilson Hall, I wouldn't focus about fighting these drivers too much. As long as you can slow them down slightly while they're trying to overtake you, but keep with them once that DRS is enabled, you will be perfectly fine. So let's see if Victor Riddler is able to make a move on Bielga in front. No, he cannot get close enough to the Alfa Romeo. Heading into the 9 and 10 chicane. Nessie's run out of 10 and then down the straight into turn 11. He's in the slipstream, but once again can't get close enough. And as we're about to start lap 6 to 29, DRS will be enabled. Mattia Ria gets past Danico to the inside, goes to Williams. He's up into 15th place. But for Ben Marbles and Cooper Wozniak, it's been a very, very calm and consistent start there from the two Aston Martins. And they're just trying to break away from Wilson Hall, which they have. But still, a long, long race ahead. It'll be very tricky for them to keep those soft tyres within a good window for the remaining few laps.
Yeah, definitely. The one sad thing for the front two is that they both know that they're on sadly, the weaker strategy. You know, they're on almost a strategy that not many really want to be on, and really none wanted to be on, realistically. But they are on it, and those hards don't seem massively slower than the softs do. And so maybe it's already changing. Maybe the middle ground's already been found between the tyre compounds. I mean, we're seeing the medium tyre runners making a few positions. As we see, Kuba Wozniak around the outside with DRS, nicely working his teammates here and holding up and not really fighting that, because I think these two know if they try to fight each other, they will ultimately lose more time and Wilson Hall will catch back up. But definitely something here. Also, I just missed. Victor Vidler got past Marcel Biega. I missed that, actually. I'm actually not sure what happened there. I don't know how I missed that. But now, Victor Villa chasing after the Alpine of Wilson Hall. We're going to see the DRS open wide. We're going to ride on board with Victor Villa quickly, see how much he closes in. He's not closing in a lot. I will say that Wilson Hall might be running quite a low wind, because he seems like he's got a lot of straight line speed, and it doesn't look like he's struggling too much through the corners either.
Yeah, he certainly could be, as Riley McKay now gets past Marcel Biega. So Marcel might actually start to be struggling a bit here on those soft compound of tyres. But yeah, for Victor Riddler, he just needs to stick behind Wilson Hall slightly until this DRS straight, and then he'll surely get by. Little burst of the ERS alongside having that DRS as well would easily see him sail by. Ben Marbles and Cooper Wozniak, they're just going to switch once more. Of course, that's the team game that they are going to have to be playing at the front now. And here comes Victor Riddler on Wilson Hall. Silly outside goes to Ferrari. Late on the brakes, gets the move done. He's got to have a poor run out of the corner. But of course, he'll have the DRS where Wilson Hall won't. And there goes Victor Riddler up into third place there in the Ferrari. And Wilson Hall, of course, still the highest of those hard compound tyre runners. But he's going to have to look out behind, because Riley McKay in the other Scarlet Red Ferrari is actually very, very quick at this stage in the Grand Prix and is following his teammate through, usually a lap after Victor Riddler makes his move. So DRS open now for the other Ferrari as he's behind the Alpine, but won't be close enough for a move into turn one. If anything, Wilson Hall is going to be good enough for a move into turn three. Victor Riddler's had a poor run out of turn number 2. To the outside now goes Wilson Hall. We're on lap 8 of 29. Round the outside goes the Alpine on the hards. Late on the brakes. A perfect move there from the Alpine, getting it done absolutely beautifully. And for Wilson Hall, he's not letting this one go, but he's only 1.9 seconds behind. Those hard tyres are still holding up quite well, and we'll soon be able to see the switch in performance. The pendulum will swing in favour of the within the next few laps.
Yeah, definitely, I do agree with you there. Bit later this time for the front two, swapping positions. Maybe they're getting a little bit restless because their tyres are struggling more now. This is something though. I think we're going to see another move happen between these two. Victor Villa chasing after Wilson Hall into the right-hander. He's going to go late on the brakes. Is he going to try and send it? No, he isn't. A little bit too afraid to make the move. But is this going to set it up so Riley McKay, his own teammate, will be able to close in on him, because it looks like those softs are struggling. You can see that because we've just seen 2 drivers on the soft tyres get 3-second time penalties for track limits. Maybe the softs are dropping off, because look at that, 7/10 in just half of a sector. This is really showing that the softs are now dropping off. And remember, most of the grid are on the softs. And so this might really lose them out to them.
Yeah, it certainly could. I mean, Wilson Hall has actually gained about a 10th of a second after passing Victor Riddler on the 2 Aston Martins in front, and these softs certainly are fading. But here comes Menno to the outside of Marcel Biega through turn 4, but on the outside line is a little bit compromised there of his run, so just lets Marcel stay in front that little bit longer. Marcel Biega is really struggling now in this Grand Prix on those soft compounder tyres. Look how much time Wilson Hall was finding. It was 1.8 as they entered into turn 3. It's now 1.7, of course, due to the DRS, but before that, it went down to 1.5 seconds. Menno to the outside of Marcel Biega. He gets the move done on the Alfa Romeo, and he's now up into 6th place. Next on the list to try get past Marcel Biega is Nicolo Soro in the other Mercedes. It seems like a lot of these drivers are still with their teammates. To say that, Lucas is able to get past his teammate Paulo Afonso in that train at the moment for the last points-paying position of 10th place. Excuse me, but yeah, it seems that Wilson Hall does have some good pace now, and these soft tyres certainly have hit the cliff. And if you're on the hards or the mediums, that's exactly the tyre you want to be in at this stage of the Grand Prix, because it is looking like the quicker tyre.
Yeah, it is, but the 2 Aston Martins are using the DRS to their advantage, because Wilson Hall's only gained about 2/10 from the last lap. So definitely the DRS is helping these two out quite a lot, as we see Jensen Randall making his way up the order. He is on the medium tyres. Remember, he did pit on lap 1, and ultimately he's up to 11th now. So maybe the mediums are, because they're of course a softer compound, they're definitely showing that they are quicker now. But one driver that I have to say hasn't not been finding much position or time is actually Jelt Korsman, a man who was in 2nd place, spun it on lap 1. He's really struggling.
Yeah, he certainly is. Yelty Korsman. He's down in 15th place, and I think he just is stuck in that DRS train. He can't really make too many moves, and overall that is really somewhat hurting him. Victor Riddler, of course, getting past Wilson Hall there for 3rd place once again in this Grand Prix. So these two just switching places every couple of laps. But yeah, look at this. It's just really just being stuck in this DRS train for the LT Korsman. He's not being able to get any moves done. He's got Paulo Afonso in front of him. He should be able to get by him within the next lap or so in that AlphaTauri in front. No one close enough to make any moves down into turn number 1 or 2. We are getting closer to that pit stop phase and that pit window. But Victor Riddler, maybe it was just a little bit of a grading phase on his Ferrari's tyres, because he's all of a sudden come back alive in this Grand Prix. I say that he runs a little bit wide and has a bit of a slide, but he's picked up the pace here as Victor Riddler, and he's only 1.4 seconds behind before they hit the DRS zone this time around. He's really being able to just struggle every last sort of drop of that soft compound tyre performance. As here comes Wilson Hall with the DRS on the outside of the Ferrari. He's getting closer and closer to Ben Marbles, and Kuba Wozniak is the Alpine, and so is the Ferrari. They just can't get close enough just yet, but surely at one point the Aston Martins will make a mistake, as there goes Ben Marbles once again on his teammate Kuba Wozniak. But Wilson Hall trying his damn hardest to try and get past try and get up to the back of the 2 Aston Martins, sorry. But the pit window should be open within the next 3 or 4 laps or so for these guys on the softs. So expect them to be starting straight into that pit lane within the next few laps.
Oh, there's a spinner. It is Lucas Besner, who's just had a spin into the last corner. We spoke about. I think we spoke about it twice now, about the struggles of grip around this track. And I think that's just shown exactly why René Klein gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. But Lucas Besner being the first to fall victim to the grip problems on this track. And as Fabio makes his way past Marcel Biega, who is struggling more and more on his soft tyres.
Yeah, nicely done there from Fabio. But for Lucas, that is really disappointing for him. He was in a decent position in this Grand Prix, up in that top 10. and of course, unfortunately, caught up into that incident. That little spin he had as Kuba Wozniak and Ben Marple switch places once more, but here comes the switch from the two Mercedes as well. Nicolo Soro is able to get past Menno there. Up into 6th place goes the Mercedes of Nicolo Soro on those hard compounder tyres. And here comes Victor Riddler to the inside, heading into turn 11. He was brave enough for a move that time around. Wilson Hall all over the shot. He's all over the road there under the braking, but he's managed to get the car stopped in a straight line, and he has to sit behind the Ferrari once more. He's battling 2 Ferraris here, of course, is Wilson Hall, and luckily for the Ferrari outfit here, Epic, one of them's on the soft, one of them's on the hard. Unlike the 2 Aston Martins, where both of them being on the soft compound tyre means that one of them is going to have to go longer than the other, whereas for Victor Riddler and Riley McKay, they're in sort of a brilliant situation because Victor will come in first and he got to wait a little bit, then Riley McKay will be in. So overall, we could be in for a very intriguing race. And these soft tyres have gone a lot further than I've expected them to. So maybe we could see these drivers be doing a soft medium in this Grand Prix.
Definitely we could see a bit of battling between Danny Coe and René Klein as Danny Coe makes his way past into P14. The action has quieted down slightly, but it's about to get rowdy again as here comes Wilson Hall and Victor Villa's teammate, Riley McKay. They both push their way past. Is Riley McKay going to try and make a move on Wilson Hall as well at the same time? They're both going to have DRS, but look at how much more confident Wilson Hall is through the left and right hand of turn 9 and 10. Coming down onto the straight now, you can see both with DRS and behind as well. Fabio making his way past Menno, but Menno's not going to allow it, and there's going to be a little bit of a tap between the two. Williams versus Mercedes. That's something to say. We don't say that a lot, but this time we did. And that is ultimately P7 for Fabio. Both have 3-second time penalties, so a lot. Victor Vidler, he's coming into the pits. Let's actually go on board with Victor Vidler and let's see how long he spends in the pit lane, because this is going to be the important part. He's going for the medium tyres, which will last. He's not going to get in the way of anybody. He does have a little bit of a moment because of the game being F1 23. Coming down the straight, Danny Coe gets another 3-second time penalty out of the pits. He spent about 28 seconds in the pit lane, so it's not too long, but you do find now he sits 10 seconds off of everybody in front. And now the main thing for Victor Villa is he's under attack by the newly pitted driver of Marcel Biega.
Yeah, he really is, and of course Victor Riddler will be on those colder medium tyres for now. So for Marcel Biega, he should be able to get this move done quite easily. Jensen Randall versus Menno, and also Piccolo coming through as well. Here comes Pico to the outside. The Red Bull follows Jensen through and is up into 8th place. Wilson Hall just flirting with that DRS range of the Aston Martins in front. Expect one of them to be into the pit lane to get rid of those soft compound tyres at some stage in this Grand Prix. You see Menno versus Mattia Ria. Now Mattia Ria going to the outside as Menno decides to not fight that one. I think he's coming into the pit lane. So does Kuba Wozniak, and now also Piccolo as well. Pico into the pits. And the man that was 8th place in this Grand Prix, the first of the hard runners to come in for the mediums. And let's see how quickly he can catch up to the back of the drivers in front. We can also see how much of an undercut Victor Riddler had over Kuba Wozniak. Look at that. Look how much they've gained on that Aston Martin. It could actually be a move done up into turn 3 here. On the exit of turn 2, Victor Riddler just gets squeezed. Here comes Marcel Biega, though, to the outside of the pair of them, maybe. We're going to go 3 wide into turn 3. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? There's contact made. The Ferrari manages to move up into a net P1 there of Victor Riddler. Marcel Biega goes up into 2nd place. And for Kuba Wozniak, he was sandwiched in the middle. He's gone from net P1 down into net P3. He's been overtaken by the 2 drivers on the warmer compound, the warmer medium compounder tyre there. And Jeltsi Korsman now pick up a 3-second time penalty as here comes Marcel Biega to get the move done on Victor Riddler on lap 15 of 29 down that back straight. But for Kuba Wozniak, that is a disastrous rejoin onto the circuit because he's just lost 2 places and he had no real chance of fighting that.
And now, for the first time since, I believe, lap 2, we're going to be seeing Wilson Hall lead the race for the first time since only our 2nd lap of racing back all the way on lap 6, 10 laps ago. Now, we've just surpassed the halfway mark in this race. drivers starting to pit, but when do you think Wilson Hall is going to pit? When do you think these guys on the hards are going to pit? Because I think they're going to try and go to the softs. I think they're going to go lap 20, maybe lap 22, and go to the soft tyres. I think that would be something that definitely will be playing on the driver's mind. But here, we've got this little tandem of 3 drivers of Wilson Hall, Riley McKay, and Nicolas Soro. Nicolas Soro more in the background, but for Wilson Hall here, he's going to make... Oh! Ben Marples has got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. This man was leading the race. Now, doesn't look like he is. He's also behind his teammate, by the way. So, not a good pit stop strategy for the Aston Martin duo. Maybe this might also be playing on Wilson Hall's mind now, that pitting earlier is better. So could we see him go to the mediums?
We certainly could see him go onto the mediums, but as you say, it's only just going to be a matter of time, and it could go on to the softs.
And he does!
No, he is coming into the pit lane. He's coming in now. Wilson Hall, your race leader, into the pit lane off those hards. Same with Nicolas Soro as well. I think the mediums are the better choice. You won't have enough time to make your way through the field on the softs if you come in too late. Riley McKay stays out. Mateo Rhea stays out. Jensen Randall also follow suit, the same with Danico. But where does the Alpine come out in relation to the likes of the Aston Martins? Here he comes down that straight. He's going to come out, I think, just in front of Fabio, but he's going to get a poor run out of turn number 1 and 2. And there goes the Williams of Fabio. He's up and past Wilson Hall. Here comes Paulo Afonso as well. He's been nowhere in this Grand Prix as the AlphaTauri. He goes to the outside, but Wilson Hall late on the brakes on those cold tyres. It was bold, it was brave to keep it up there with trying to not understeer into your competitor with stone cold tyres, but he's managed to do it. He's kept in that top 10 at the moment, but is a long, long way ahead of him. 1.2 is the gap between Ben Marples and Fabio. Wilson Hall needs to get past the Williams, and he needs to get it done now. So DRS open for the Alpine. Marcel Biega's able to get past Victor Riddler. Here comes Wilson Hall to the outside of Fabio, and he's got the move done there. And now he wants to hunt down Ben Marples and co in front to try and win this Grand Prix on lap 17 of 29 as Cooper Wozniak's now past Victor Riddler, heading into turn number 11. Up to P6 goes the Aston Martin, but Wilson Hall now hunting down that pack of cars in front, and he wants to try to at least get on the podium places. By the end of lap 20, as Jensen Randall is round as well on the exit of the final corner, and for him it has been a very disastrous debut race in F5. And here comes actually Cooper Wozniak to the inside of Marcel Biega. Wasn't able to get the move done. Victor Riddler's had a slide as Ben Marples is all over the back of him as well. Wilson Hall's nearly within DRS range. As to the inside goes Ben Marples of Victor Riddler. Can't get the move done. Nicolas Soro picks up 3 seconds as Wilson Hall now within that DRS. But this race, it's only just beginning really here, Epic. And I think give it a few more laps, we could be in for a titanic battle between at least 5, 6, maybe even 8 cars in this one, all for that race lead come the end of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely. I do feel like at the moment, as we can see, Cooper Wozniak making the move around the outside of Marcel Biega. Cooper Wozniak's been liking the outside of the back straight, and this time he likes it a lot more because he's up a position. And here comes Victor Riddler as well. And Marcel Biega, he's going to go round the outside. Is he challenging it? Does he want to try and make the move? He is. We're going to go almost 3 wide into the next corner. But Victor Riddler comes out in P3. And now Cooper Wozniak has essentially he has the net race lead at the moment. And he's pulling already 8 tenths ahead of Victor Riddler. And now we're going to actually see him. He will pull into the lead. And for one of the multiple times today, Cooper Wozniak leads here on lap 19 out of 29. The race is getting closer and closer, but remember also, the 3 drivers behind have penalties. The only other driver without penalties is Wilson Hall, as we see Jensen Randall. Nothing went his way today. He retires in the pit lane. It's a bit disappointing. We don't like to see it. Of course, 2 drivers out already in this race, but we still have 17 out of 19. I think that's pretty good, to be honest. But now we're looking at Cooper Wozniak. This man, looking behind from his car, I can just see what the hell going on in the background. As we can see, Wilson Hall, the man on a mission. He's going to be making a move on Marcel Biega, and he's made that move, and he's up into P4, and 1 step closer to obtaining this race victory in round 1. here in F5, that's going to be something big, and it's a big thing he's got to do, as we can see. Also, whoa, Fabio out of nowhere, putting his nose in there and making the move, as also Wilson Hall did. That is something definitely you don't see often, but it's a move that Fabio needed to make. And now you can see Wilson Hall on fresher tyres, about I think it's 2-3 lap fresher tyres. We'll actually have a look at the tyres right now. It is 2 to 3 lap fresher tyres. He's finding that tyre wear and he's actually using it to his advantage.
Yeah, he certainly is. So is Riley McKay. He's one to look out for as well, down in 8th place at the moment. He's on the freshest tyres out of this top 10 in the field. So he is certainly one to look out for in his Ferrari. But for Wilson Hall, he's just gliding his way through the pack. He's just trying to catch up to Kuba Wozniak as quickly as possible. For Victor Riddler, he just wants to maybe just split these two for Aston Martins to try maybe not cost him as much time to the cars behind as well. As here comes Riley McKay on Paulo Alfonso. That run that the Ferrari was able to get over the AlphaTauri on the exit of the corner. Kuba Wozniak's been overtaken by Victor Riddler, but luckily for him, he's got Ben Marples behind him, his teammate, who could help him just sit in that second or third place, depending on if the Aston Martin's able to make the move. No, he's not. So Kuba Wozniak only falls down one place there. Wilson Hall is bringing Fabio along with him. Marcel Biega is struggling once again. Once Marcel's tyres get to about 7 laps old, 6-7 laps old, he starts to struggle in this Grand Prix, which I've seen so far. But overall, we're going to have 9 racing laps to go once we cross the line. There we go, 9 racing laps remaining. And for Victor Riddler, I don't think that win's going to come his way unless a few more drivers picks up a penalty. So the battle really is on between Wilson Hall and Kuba Wozniak. You might even maybe see Riley McKay get involved as well. So he makes a move up into turn 3 on Marcel Biega, and he's now joined the fray. So we might have these drivers with penalties as Victor Riddler picks up another one. That's going to cost him big time when it comes to overall where he's going to finish. But when it comes to Wilson Hall, Kuba Wozniak and Riley McKay, they're going to be at least your top 3 for now. But Kuba Wozniak, 3-second time penalty. So it's all now down between, really, Wilson Hall and Riley McKay. The 2 Aston Martins make it 3-1 with Victor Riddler. Kuba Wozniak actually going up into first place there. Ben Marples wasn't able to get the move done on his teammate. Wilson Hall now needs to get this move done on Victor Riddler to stop the 2 Aston Martins from pulling away. To the inside goes the Alpine, late on the brakes, and there goes Wilson Hall up back into that top 3. Fabio now looking to the inside into turn 12. The Williams being ever so brave to go down the inside there. Riley McKay now battling his teammate. He's been forced onto the grass, and Victor Riddler, I don't know if it was worth keeping up the inside there, but luckily for Riley McKay, he's not picked up any damage or spun rounds. But the 2 Aston Martins now swapping at the front. Ben Marples in front of Kuba Wozniak, but Wilson Hall in prime position to take the first win of the season here. He's got drivers with penalties all around him, and he's in third place at the moment. But how he would love to win this one on the circuit. We've got 8 laps to go, and this race is only just getting started as Marcel Biega and Nicolo Sora go side by side into turn 4. Who's going to come out on top in this one? It's going to look like maybe Marcel Biega. No, Nicolo Sora forces him out wide, and the Mercedes will surely get this one done, and he does. But we're on lap 8. This race only just getting started. Wilson Hall hunting down that top 2 to try and get onto that top step, but he's got Riley McKay as his closest challenger for P1. And he's just made it past his teammate, and so there's only 1 car between the 2 non-penalty runners in this Grand Prix, and it's going to keep getting spicier and spicier as this race progresses.
As there's just been a massive move, Nico Soro having to defend his place from Paulo Alfonso and Matteo Piccolo, and now we can see Paulo Alfonso trying to make the move, doesn't work there, and it's not going to work overall as Nicolo Soro still holds on to his position here. But I have to say, this is something for Wilson Hall. Wilson Hall now needs to make sure he doesn't get a penalty. Because if he does, it's then level playing field between everyone. And that's something that he can't afford.
Yeah, that certainly is something he can't afford. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays that one out. But I mean, overall, this race, I know we've only got, what, now 7 laps of racing to go, but it's still such an exciting run to see how these drivers still attack these final few laps. Marcel Biega and Paulo Alfonso going side by side into turn 6. And once again, Marcel Biega Sorry, turn 4. And once again, Marcel Biega being overtaken into turn 5 on the inside. Will Riley McKay get close enough for a move on Fabio in front? Will Fabio even attack Wilson? You see the two Aston Martins going side by side. Kuba Wozniak gets back in front of Ben Marples. Matteo Piccolo gets past Biega, and now also Alfonso into 9 and 10. You can also see Biega struggling. He's all over the road. Yeltsin Korsman gets by. Matteo Ria gets by, and now here comes Menno as well. He's going to look to the inside of the Alfa Romeo to move up into 12th place. He's actually gone to the inside of Matteo Ria as well. There's a little bit of contact made, but for Menno, he's managed to get the move done on Marcel Biega, who at one stage in this Grand Prix was behind Victor Ridber and in front of Kuba Wozniak. He's now down to 13th place. The early gamble on those tyres has not worked for Marcel Biega. It's worked a bit better for Victor Ridber in this one, but overall, it's still a long way to go. And Victor Ridber now on, I think, 9 seconds of time penalties.
Well, actually,
yes,
have a look
he
now.
is.
Yes, he
The
is. He's
highest
on 9
of any.
seconds. No,
him
he
and Danny
isn't.
will have 9.
No, and Danico.
Yeah.
Both of them on 9. Here's a quick timer update. Everybody's on mediums except Danico. Everybody has pretty much done one stop except for 4 drivers. Positions gained. Fabio is putting in a brilliant race, I have to say, up 7 places at the moment, even if he does drop down due to penalties. And here comes Riley McKay. He's going to try and be making a move around the outside, both with DRS. Are they going to go side by side? No, they're not. Not yet. Fabio's saying, I want to hold on to this place and I'm not going to let you pass. And Paulo Afonso is also having to do the same as Jelte Korsman, as Wilson Hall has made the move for P2 finally. He's made the move. He's been waiting. He's been storing up EOS. He's been waiting to make that move for a few laps now. And now he is up into P2. And this, we were saying when he pitted that it was going to be a very difficult fight to get into the lead and win this race. It's looking much easier than it did before. The sun is going down on this race. And so is the amount of laps and who's going to win. It's getting easier and easier to predict who. And it's looking all towards Wilson Hall. It looks like he's completely controlling the game now. Unless he gets another warning and gets ultimately a penalty, that is the only thing that can be thrown in his way at the moment, because Wilson Hall is making a race of his own, as Jelte Korsman also makes a move on Paulo Afonso.
Yeah, nicely done there from Jelte Korsman. For Wilson Hall, that's another car between him and Riley McKay, so that's a really crucial move there to really hold the Ferrari ever so slightly. DRS will be open once more. Kuba Wozniak actually getting closer to Wilson Hall. I think he would want to try and take the P2 away from Wilson there to just bring back that 1-2 there for the 2 Aston Martins. Wilson don't want to make the move though on Ben Marples, because he doesn't want to put himself vulnerable without the DRS. But here comes Kuba Wozniak to the inside. He can't get the move done though. He has to just sit behind a little bit longer. But for Kuba Wozniak, that was very brave to go down the inside there. But the bumps would have just sent him into the side of the Alpine driver, Matteo Ria. And Jelte Korsman going side by side now through turn 12. Oh, and there's a big slide in front for Paulo Alfonso, who's just hit the wall there. Don't know if he picked up any damage. But that
look like
was a really big moment.
And now he's lost the position there, and that is bad. It looks like he doesn't have any damage, but I have to say the spectator view doesn't always show the full extent of damage. He might have some light damage on the car though. But yeah, I've got to say, this is going to be an important last few laps. 4 laps of the race to go. Riley McKay needs to start making some moves, or he's just going to be stuck in P5. As it stands, he will finish P2 in this race, but of course you want that on-track position. You want to say, I actually did get it. It wasn't just because of penalties. But at the moment, he's going to have to make some moves, and he's going to have to make them soon, because it seems like he is dropping off quite a few other drivers.
Yeah, he certainly is at the moment. But back up at the front, Wilson Hall still under pressure from Kuba Wozniak, and here comes Kuba using some ERS, but he's going to get boxed in here by his own teammate Wilson Hall to the inside of Kuba Wozniak. He's managed to force him wide as well. That's going to allow Fabio to the inside, so that's relieved some pressure there from Wilson Hall. He's now got another car between him and a main attacker with penalties there for Wilson Hall. Kuba Wozniak down to 4th. Fabio up into 3rd place. We're about to start 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. And for Wilson Hall, it is looking ever better. As each lap goes by, he gets closer and closer to winning this Grand Prix. Riley McKay's drops off slightly from Kuba Wozniak in front of him. As does Wilson Hall go for a move? No, he does not. He's going to wait all the way until that final lap, you would think.
Kuba Wozniak almost hitting into the back of Fabio there. Little bit too close for, I think, any of the drivers' liking. Definitely something there for these guys. Definitely scared me for a second. Almost hit into the back of the Williams. Right now, though, I think Wilson Hall is waiting till that final lap to go and push. But I think Ben Marples is also saving up till the final lap.
Yeah, that's really what it's going to be all be about. Of course, Wilson Hall won't want to make that move until that final lap of the Grand Prix. We're about to start the penultimate lap within a few moments' time. Is Fabio going to get close enough for a move on the Alpine? No, he is not. He's just going to sit behind a little bit more, excuse me. But we do really just have that top 6. Yelty Korsman and Matteo Rea going side by side. It was the same with Paulo Afonso and Matteo Piccolo there. So Pico is still in 11th place. Also another Xbox driver that has come across to PC. Lucas picks up a 3-second time penalty down in 14th. Story of what could have been for him. Here comes Matteo Rea as we start the penultimate lap of proceedings, getting past Yelty Korsman to the inside. Nicely done there from the Williams driver. Further up, Kuba Wozniak all over the back of Fabio. He's going to look to the outside here, heading into turn 3, but gets forced wide. He's shown the door by Fabio in front and can't get that move done. We're going down this back into turn 7 for the penultimate time, then down that back straight. Will it be Wilson Hall's day, or will a late penalty maybe spoil that? And Riley McKay still within a really good position if a penalty does come Wilson Hall's way to pick up that place. Kuba Wozniak to the inside now of Fabio, who's even on the grass at one point. There goes the Aston Martin. He's now there to back up his teammate Ben Marples in this one for that fight for the lead of the Grand Prix on the road. So as we head into turn 11 for the penultimate time, we're going to get the final lap underway within a few moments. Wilson Hall looking to take the first win of the season. Of course, will win it at the moment on penalties, but how much he would love to win this on the circuit. Riley McKay hoping that Wilson Hall picks up a 3-second time penalty and is able to win this one on the penalty count in the long term. But here we go, the final lap of the first round of season 36 here in PSGL PCF 5 is underway. We have 5.278 kilometres in front of us to go, and Wilson Hall all over the back of the Aston Martin and Ben Marples, but he won't make his move until turns 9 and 10. Here comes Wilson Hall then through turns 5. It will then lead you into this little kink of 6, which then leads you to the right-hander of 7. And if he gets a good run out of here, he can put himself in a brilliant position to get past Ben Marples before we even get to the braking zone of turns 9 and 10. DRS open now for the Alpine. He's getting closer and closer. He pulls to that outside line. Through goes Wilson Hall to the outside. Kuba Wozniak wasn't there to back up his teammate. He didn't have a great run out of the corner. And it's going to be Wilson Hall to try and bring this one home. He's only got a few corners left to go. Kuba Wozniak, is he under pressure from Fabio? No, he is not.
Oh, it's a mistake from Wilson Hall. A late mistake. He went wide. And now we're going to be seeing, will Ben Marples send it? No, he won't. It looks like Wilson Hall has almost confirmed this to be a win. Coming round the last corner. Can he hold on to it? Because remember, Ben Marples is still going to have DRS. This is going to come to line. Wilson Hall wins here in PSGL Season 36 Round 1 here in Australia. What a win in F5 for Wilson Hall. And what a great end to this race. Last lap move, everything he needed. He hasn't led a lap since lap 14 of this race. And ultimately, that was one good ending for him.
It certainly was absolutely brilliant there from Wilson Hall to pick up the first race win of the season. And that's the way you want to start your season and build that momentum and also just introduce yourself to the PC side. So brilliantly done there from Wilson Hall to win that one Well done to Riley McKay as well after that playing as well, and he just managed to keep it clean, and that's all it came down to, was keeping your car within those track limits, and you would at least get a podium for some of these drivers, and that's exactly what Riley McKay did. And then, of course, for Ben Marples, he did so well, even with that 3-second time penalty. But overall, Wilson Hall, it was a pole to race victory, and he couldn't ask for any better, because that was just a phenomenal drive from him. And to be honest, he out that Grand Prix.
Yeah, really, he did. Something that I have to say is that we've spoken about how well he did. Let's do a rundown of the grid after the race. Wilson Hall wins in round 1 of PSGL F5 PC here in season 36. New season, a new winner, and something a little bit different from pole to victory. It did seem like it for a lot of the race, but he was there. Riley McKay finishes second because of penalties. Ben Marples finishes third, so he does get onto the podium. Kuba Wozniak is fourth. Fabio is fifth. Matteo Ria is sixth, with Nicola Soro seventh. Matteo Piccola is eighth. Victor Vidler ninth because of his huge amounts of penalties, 9 seconds of penalties. 10th is Jelsa Korsman, who spun on lap 1. Polo Afonso is 11th. Meno is 12th. Marcel Biega is 13th. Lucas Bezner is 14th. Danny Coe is 15th. Patrick Dackmeyer is 16th. And here is Rene Klein in last, with Jensen Hanno and Kaizen in the final and last place, both DNFing in today's race. Definitely a race to talk about. Definitely something that a lot happened in that race, to be honest. If you wouldn't mind pinging the drivers in the chat to come in for an interview, because it is interview time here tonight, and this is definitely going to be something very exciting to see. We all love to see interviews. Definitely something to come away from that race. I mean, something very different to see. Again, I mean, I don't think we usually see this a lot. Very good race though from everybody. Quite clean. Couple of incidents. Of course, lap 1. Jelsa making that mistake, of course, on lap 1. Everything looked so good until then. Then it went all downhill, sadly, for the McLaren driver. So a couple of things not going his way tonight. Of course, you know, nobody wants to have that. To be honest, nobody wants to have problems like that. But we're just going to wait for the drivers to get into the waiting room to then get interviewed, hopefully in order. Good race from quite a lot of the drivers. I think everybody raced pretty cleanly. Of course, a few drivers not having a good day after all. A few of them struggling quite a bit to have a good race and a good qualifying course. I have to say though, Victor Vidler, 9 seconds of penalties. Do you feel like that ruined his race, or would you say it was just mistakes that ruined his race?
It kind of was his own fault there with the penalties. That really ruined his Grand Prix. I mean, at that stage where you could score some decent points, of course he wasn't going to be on for a win at that point, but when you're on that course for at least a top 5, maybe at least a top 6 finish, then getting all those penalties and falling down to 9th, those could be crucial points come the end of the championship. So it's really unfortunate for him to see. Ben Marples, we will be getting an interview from the man who finished 3rd in that Grand Prix, but of course led so long near the end of the Grand Prix.
As you can see, we're ready for interviews. So let's bring Ben Marples in. Hello, Ben Marples. How are you doing, my good friend? And well done on a podium for the first race of season 36. How do you feel after it?
Pretty good. I'm a little bit annoyed with the outlap from my medium stint because I got this double warning. In that, you know, the turn was it turn 4? The exit where you.
Oh yeah, turn 4. Yeah.
So hopefully I'm gonna get that removed. I've got all the clips and stuff. But overall, the race was good. The start was good. Me and Cuba got a good launch off the line. Got a few positions, and then McLaren decided to absolutely yeet it in turn number 3 when he caused a safety car, which was good. So we extended the soft stint. And it was just DRS with me and Cuba all the way till the pit stops, trying to keep Wilson and I think Victor as well behind out as DRS, which went well. And then yeah, it was just maintaining pace on the mediums until the very end when I was P1 towards that long straight, the DRS straight, and I knew I was going to be P2 by the end of it. The DRS is so powerful.
So, do you feel like the win was there? Do you feel like maybe going to the soft tyres at the beginning was a mistake, or hindered you later on, or do you feel like overall you came away with a rather successful weekend for even what could have been achieved?
Yeah, I think P2 is definitely what I was expecting. I was expecting to be on the podium, hopefully. I didn't really practice much for this, I'm not gonna lie, but I knew the race pace was good. So, yeah, the softs was definitely the right strat for me. We had a conversation about what lap we're gonna box, and obviously the safety car happened, so we had to just extend the soft spin as much as we can, which made it easier for us. So we could just box when we were gonna box anyway, and then the mediums just felt really good at the end.
I think that's good to hear. Max Ring, do you have any questions for our podium sitter?
Yeah, one from me, Ben. Is overall, due to that, of course, we had that early ready up. Were you planning to start on the softs, or was it going to be a different strategy from yourself?
Oh no, softs was going to be the ultimate strategy for us all the way. I readied up first.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I don't think many drivers are going to be happy with that. I saw a bit of anger in the chat, but I want to say thank you so much, Ben Marples. Hope you had a really good race. We'll see you again next week and for the rest of the season. Good luck for next race. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Our man who
guys.
stood on the podium tonight, Ben Marples.
Thank you very much.
So, Max, is there anybody else who wants to have an interview at the moment? No, I think that might be the end of our interview, sadly, for tonight. Bit disappointing to end our interviews with only one driver turning up, but that's okay because we still got one driver turning up. So I'm rather happy with that. Well, I have to say it was a good race, good qualifying, good start to season 36, one that we all love to see, of course. Sadly, we are getting to the point in today's stream where we've got to say goodbye. How do you want to end the stream? Do you want to say some line, or just tell me what you thought of the race, and what you thought of a few drivers, because it'd be nice to end like that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you everybody for watching, for supporting us here today, and yeah, it was a really good race, very exciting, a brilliant way to kick off season 36. Brilliant drives from the likes of Kuba Wozniak, Ben Marples, Riley McKay, Wilson Hall, even Victor Ridler. If you don't count his penalties, he drove really well in that case as well. So, I mean, you even had the drivers near at the back perform really good as well. So, it's going to be a long season ahead for these drivers. You can't get yourself down now. It's just the first race of the season. You can't really just overthink this too much. Build off it. It's just a poor race, and your season should go a lot better. But overall, very, very exciting Grand Prix. Hopefully the same again in the future. Thank you for joining me, Epic. And you'll join me next week as well. Before our usual co-com's back. So yeah, pleasure for
nice
you to be subbing in.
Yeah,
pleasure for you to be subbing in.
No problem. It's always an honour. But before we go, I've got a couple of things I have to say. So first of all, sorry about that. I thought my mic would carry over. It didn't. I looked at it before I clicked on the wrong thing. I do apologise for that. But before we go, we're going to be showing a little SRC promo, and we'll also be ending off the stream with our great sponsors of SRC, Omega, and then it will sadly be goodbye. It's been great to be back in PSGL. It's lovely to be here with Max Ring, and we'll be back again next week, same time, same place. Come join us at 7 PM on next Thursday. It's going to be something exciting. And just to bring up a few things before we end today, let's just bring up the calendar to see where we're going next. It's a driver vote for round 2, and so it's going to be something very interesting. Something I think, I haven't seen before, but it's definitely going to be something different. So, yep, we're going to be having that next week for round 2. It's a driver vote. That's going to definitely be exciting. Once again, I think, thank you to Max for putting up with my screaming on lap 1. And, yeah, thank you to everybody for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. Also click on the notification bell to to know about more content like this and to maybe join us next week. Go and follow us here on YouTube, Instagram. Come and join our Discord server down in the description below. Also follow us on Twitter and TikTok. Thank you to our sponsors GT Omega and Sim Racing Centre for helping us to be able to be here today. Thank you so much to everyone. I hope you all have a great week. I'll see you soon. Bye.
He's got the inside off, here he's through on the left hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the ghost is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.